Welcome to the 12 Report. I am Judith, a TB, standing in for Blessings Musugu. The headlines. Police reportedly fire tear gas at protesters as Oshore leads hashtag release Nnamdi Kanu now match in Abuja amid hashtag NSAS remembrance. Nigeria's former Vice President Oshibanjo leads ECOWAS team to monitor Cote d'Ivoire election. Israel-Hamas trade blame over ceasefire breach as Trump claims truce still in place. As usual, we have our reporters stationed in different parts of the country and outside of Nigeria. We begin with Sagir Ibrahim, Idong Joseph, and Aisha Salihu from the capital, Abuja. Bernard Akeda joins me live from the commercial capital of Lagos. And of course, Austin Azu is live in South Delta State. We've got the details, as always. Welcome to the 12 Report. Begin with hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu Now demonstration, where a joint detachment of defense and security operatives has forcefully dispersed the Omoyele-led hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protesters in the Maitama area of Abuja. The rally, led by activist Omoyele and legal counsel Barrister Aloy A.G. Maku, gathered outside the Nigerian Communications Commission headquarters on Monday in Maitama. Demonstrators chanted, "Free Nnamdi Kanu now," calling for justice and urging authorities not to use force. Moments later, gunshots were heard, forcing the crowd to flee in panic. No injuries has been confirmed.
Free Nnamdi Kanu now! Free Nnamdi Kanu now! Free Nnamdi Kanu now!
Free Nnamdi Kanu now! Free Nnamdi Kanu now!
Free Nnamdi Kanu now! Free Nnamdi Kanu now! Free Nnamdi Kanu now! Free Nnamdi Kanu now!
In the meantime, residents and police are trading volleys of tear gas near the Secretariat in Abuja as the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu Now protest intensifies. Demonstrators calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu clashed with security forces who responded with tear gas in an attempt to disperse the crowd. Meanwhile, a group of protesters have taken to the streets of Abuja to demonstrate their support for the ongoing trial of Nnamdi Kanu. The protesters, carrying placards and banners, marched through the city, voicing their opposition to Kanu's release and calling for the trial to continue. Now, they say they have incurred a number of casualties since his detention and expressed their concerns about the potential consequences of his release, citing issues relating to insecurity as well as stability in the region.
He's very much aware of what he's doing. He has given birth to what you are seeing taking place in the southeast at the moment. He is more aware of it, and even the legal talk that's ongoing. If you check it, is him and his legal team that are frustrating the process. What we are saying as people, we are not against anybody, but we are telling the country that nobody should put Nigeria under any political pressure against anybody, especially criminals and terrorists. Whether or anybody.
News Central Sagir Ibrahim is on standby for more on this. He's been covering the protest the entirety of this morning. Sagir, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us more about the tear gassing during the protests?
Hours, I must say, from within the central business district down until under the Beggar Bridge, and now currently at the Apo Mechanic. This stretch of road leads into Apo Resettlement that houses a popular mechanic workshop known as the Apo Mechanic that carries multitudes upon multitudes of mechanics who reside in this area within Abuja and the FCT. And I must say that this area is densely populated by individuals of Igbo extraction and, of course, from the southeast. Little wonder the reason why Omoyele Sowore had moved from the central business district where they were initially tear gas to Beggar under bridge to reconvene. They were also tear gas there, and then to reconvene here around the Apo Mechanic area to reconvene, of course, and then get more reinforcement from individuals who feel very strongly about the need to release Omoyele Sowore. Just a few moments ago, ShopRite just ahead of me here this road was completely blanketed, covered by the Nigerian police. Matter of fact, if my cameraman could be so kind to, zoom further in, you would see that a police truck is still stationed right there, still hoping to mop up any protester that's left. They've been going around capturing individuals carrying placards that has anything to do with ADOP or Free Nnamdi Kanu or anything to do with the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest. So as it is right now, initially a multitude of, I would say over 1,000 would not be an exaggeration. We're out on this street protesting and demanding that he be released. They say nothing less than his release would stop them from, hitting the streets. And, they have reinforced this not just once, but of course severally within today at the central business district, at the Beggar under bridge, and of course here at the Apo Mechanic. They've dispersed for now, but we are trying to meet and reconvene with them to see whether they will deter, they will be defiant, and they will still reconvene to continue with this march. Back to you in the studio, Judith.
So I do have to ask you about whether or not there is the same treatment that is being meted out to those who are counter-protesting the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu now. We understand there are protesters out there on the streets as well who are supporting the trial and asking for it to continue based on insecurity and instability in that region. What's the reaction from the police to those protesters?
Well, the reaction of the police currently, from where I stand, has been raining upon raining. Sadly, I would not say it's the rainfall from the sky, but rainfall from canisters of tear gas that has been pelted on protesters from across different parts. I have followed the demonstrators from the Beggar under bridge up until this point, and twice we were pelted with tear gas canisters by the Nigerian police. So there was no response from them verbally, but there was response from them by action.
Sagir, many thanks. We appreciate you for that update. Sagir Ibrahim, they are correspondent live from the capital, Abuja, giving us update on the hashtag Free Nnamdi Kanu protest. In the meantime, the residents living on the outskirts of the Federal Capital Territory has been left stranded due to heightened security presence around the Kubo-Nyanya axis following the ongoing Free Nnamdi Kanu protest. Now, the situation has led to severe traffic congestion, with only a few motorists available to convey commuters to their workplaces. And some residents who spoke to News Central expressed their frustration, saying authorities failed to provide adequate information to help them prepare for the hardship caused by the gridlock.
This protest is very bad, especially with the masses. I've been trekking from Maraba Junction, look at me, to Kubo. I'm here, and this look at how I'm sweating. We the masses, you are the one facing it. Please, the government should at least consider us before doing some certain kind of decision. Please, we are begging. We trek from Nyanya Park down to this Kubo. In fact, people are still lying down there in the car to enter. Seriously, we are suffering, and we are suffering for something that we don't know. I don't even know what the protest is about. But seriously, we have suffered. And I'm pleading with the government, please, they should do something about it.
But this very current experience is actually terrible, because deep down right now, I'm not finding it easy. Imagine somebody trekking all the way from Maraba down to the area, and there's no any chance of even getting a ride. So we have to just keep trekking to maybe, hopefully, barracks before security. It's actually not a very good experience.
Joining us now is News Central's Idong Joseph. He joins me live for more update from the capital, Abuja. Idong, you can hear from the commuters their concerns. I have to ask you, what is the situation where you are at the moment?
Still at the Kugbo area where we watched that lamentation by residents of the FCT. Here, for now, the situation here is quite calm. If you can see behind me, you see that vehicles are moving freely compared to what we witnessed in the morning as at 7 till 9 a.m., which was the peak hour for work activity. Now, the situation here is calm. And just close to me here is an army checkpoint where they do thorough screening of everyone coming into the city center. I would have taken this shot from there, but I was prevented by this military personnel not to film their personnel. And so from here, it's quite calm. And this area is an exit out of the Federal Capital Territory to states like Nasarawa State, Benue State, and even Plateau State, and even to some satellite communities like the Jukwe, Karo, Karishi, Pegi, all around here. You have to use this point to get into the city center. But when we came here this morning, we were expecting that we are going to see sign of a protest around here. But for now, no protest. Even when we came, no protest. The situation here is quite calm for now, Judith.
Right. Although calm, I do have to ask about, traffic security or traffic management agencies, whether or not there's any traffic management authorities or officials that are there to help with decongesting the traffic situation in those areas.
The only security personnel here managing the traffic, because they cost the traffic by their thorough screening of personnel and persons going into the federal capital, is meant from the Nigerian Army. Aside from that, there are no any other security personnel around this area controlling traffic. But for now, the only traffic congestion you can see is just by the checkpoint, not just few vehicles before you can be granted access into the city center.
Joshua, I must say thank you. Joshua Idong Joseph there. I keep mixing them up. Is Idong Joseph, our correspondent live from Abuja. Also joining us for more updates as well is Aisha Salihu. She joins us for more now and to give us a bit of a situational report where she's at. Aisha, if you can hear me, good morning to you.
Well, Judith, right now I'm standing at the intersection of the Ministry of Finance, and further behind me is into the Women Affairs, and just throughout today there has been heavy deployment of security operatives behind the office, civil Nigeria, and also what we have read from the residents. They are saying there is more like overzealousness from the side of security operatives, because right before you even came to me live, there was the deployment of tear gas canister on most of the residents who are here, trying to access this road. The police tried to disperse them, although they are not even part of the protesters. But just as you can see behind me, the security operatives are still right behind me, and then when you have to my right to the residents out here on the streets. A lot of them have spoken to us this morning, and they have stated that they don't know why this is happening, even though the government did not inform whether there is any form of, say, official curfew or anything. But then again, they have been unable to gain access into their places of work. Some of them are still here. A lot of people are still really stranded here, and they are wondering what is really going on. If at all there was an announcement of curfew, some of them have told us they would have stayed at home instead of coming to town. Now it's as if there is no activity. I would say it looks as if there is a public holiday in Abuja at the moment. But right now I have someone who would join me to speak about his own frustration this morning. Let me walk over to him. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Please step down. I'd like to hear from you. What has been your experience so far since this morning when this protest started?
Since 5 o'clock, honestly, I'm not happy. What a country that we can wake up early in the morning, they take a decision that will not help the masses. It's not good. Now, let's assume that we have somebody they are keeping in DSS custody. Now, we want to hear what is the problem. At least, if somebody that has a problem with you, either you send the person to prison or you judge that person. Now, because of only one person and everybody just being condemned, like all of us, we are condemned already. So we don't have access to our business, we don't have access to the other one or the other. It's not good. Even you're penalized. And before you could know, Nigeria is only the country that maybe a little thing that they will start pouring tear gas. There are some people that has what they call as the asthmatic. Early in the morning, that you can be throwing this cannon tear gas. It's not good. What we are talking about is this. If this man, you found anything guilty about him, you sentence him. But if you don't have, let him go.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Well, Judith, you have heard from one of the residents in the FCT. Well, he shares some of the sentiments of other residents who are lamenting and complaining that they have not been able to access their places of work or places of businesses all day, all morning. They're stranded. You know, even it has affected transportation services, and there are lots of security operatives deployed literally all over places in Abuja. There are still roadblocks in several areas. Especially those who are civil servants, they have complained this morning that if at all there was going to be a blockade or there wouldn't be work today, the government should have announced that, but it looks as if there is an unannounced public holiday. Work is not being carried out. Everybody is just literally littered around everywhere, and there's road blockade. Police are still scattered all over the city center. Judith.
Aisha, very insightful reporting there. Many thanks. We appreciate you for that. Aisha Saliu, there's our correspondent live from the capital, Abuja. We're going to a short break, shall we? When we return, we switch to Lagos as the hashtag NSAS anniversary is on. 5 years on, victims' families demand justice and accountability. More after the break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. We continue in Lagos. October 20th marks 5 years since the shooting that occurred at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos during the hashtag NSAS protests that swept across several states in Nigeria. The demonstrations were fueled by widespread outrage over police brutality and extortion, particularly by the now disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad. 5 years on, questions remain, which are, why do we stand in the fight against police brutality? How does the hashtag NSAS movement has it faded into memory? But most importantly, how are Nigerians still demanding justice? News Central's lead correspondent Bernard Akede joins us live from the Lekki toll gate, the epicenter of the protests 5 years ago. Bernard, thanks so much for joining us live from the toll gate. Can you describe the atmosphere at the Lekki toll gate today? 5 years on after the shooting, are there any notable observations or reactions from passerby?
Thank you for having me, Judith. We've been here all morning from as early as 7 a.m. There's not been any activity besides the fact that we've had more than usual police presence down here alongside other security operatives like Lagos State Traffic Management Agency, LASMA. We've also had officers of the NSCDC and Manowo stationed with their vehicles here. Earlier in the day, we had a truck from the Nigerian Army, I believe, just for surveillance, that has also moved around here. And then not too long ago, less than an hour ago, we were lucky to catch the presence of the Commissioner of Police, that's CP Moshood Jimo, who actually had been going around the state with his entourage on what they call a show of force, so that they will ensure that the state is safe. Now, luckily for us, we equally had our colleague Israel Iferobo, who had been going around with the Commissioner. I'd like Israel to intimate us on where they went and what the state had been so far. Israel, thank you for the one I'm interviewing. Where did you go with the Commissioner of Police and his team, and what did you guys observe across the state?
Well, indeed, thank you for having me, Bernard. It's been a peaceful scenario so far. They went across major hotspots across the metropolis. They gathered as many men as possible, combat ready. They went all through to from major places like Ikorodu Road, Maryland. They went around all the way to Ojota, and then they made a stop briefly at Oborunchoki, what we call Beggar Bus Stop as well. I recall not too long ago, it was a hot spot of protest as well due to some demolition in the area. There were some personal carriers stationed there for about weeks now. So this team of policemen led by the Commissioner of Police, Sipo Olondarejimo, they stopped there briefly, observed the area to show their presence that they are here and that the people of Lagos State, the citizens should go about their businesses and that they shouldn't worry about any sort of disturbances whatsoever. And it went all the way from Orochoki down to the Third Mainland Bridge and all the way to the Lekki Toll Gate, where you indeed spoke to him.
All right. Thank you so much, Israel, for the update. Judith, so basically the police officers have gone pretty much around several areas in the state, and so far so good. Like Israel has said, it's been peaceful, I beg your pardon. It's been quiet, it's been calm, and it's pretty much been business as usual.
Business as usual. I do have to ask, though, the Lekki Toll used to be a meeting point for gathering for a memorial of what happened on October 20th. Was there any inkling that a gathering might have started and then it didn't, or there was a disbursement, or there just wasn't any turn up or no show at all?
I mean, it's quite interesting that you should ask that, Judith, because, well, you know, we stayed here for this long, about 5 hours and counting, you know, just hoping to see, well, let me not say hoping, but, you know, just hanging around to see if there will be any kind of protest or activity. None has happened so far, except something that happened recently. We caught that on tape, and we hope to push that forward later when we get back to the studio. Our guest, Yemi Adamolekun, who is the convener of Enough is Enough Nigeria, EIE, we had her on camera earlier today. And, well, apparently she and her colleague came with a bouquet of flowers, which they wanted to put in front of the toll gate right there, you know, where it's marked stop toll gates, right in front of one of those pillars. And on their way trying to do that with the bouquet, they were accosted by officials of, I think it was NSCDC or Manowa actually it was, and who stopped them from putting the bouquet down there. As a matter of fact, there was a tussle between her and those operatives, and then the bouquet got scattered all over the floor. The police officer who's leading the team here, Mrs. Ojo, I believe, she is, yes, Yemisi Ojo is the name, I believe. She came forth and explained that the reason why she is stopping this from happening is because it could possibly attract other people to come and do whatnot, you know. So they are not allowing anything that seems like a protest, any form of gathering around here. None of that will be allowed around the toll gate premises today whatsoever. But to wrap that up, I would quickly like to chip this in here that, yes, we did eventually speak to the Commissioner of Police, like I mentioned earlier, and questions we asked him quickly before I go. We asked him what Lagos seems like on a day like this, and just like Israel reiterated, he stated that the state was peaceful and calm. And then I did ask that some of the demands of the protesters from 5 years ago actually includes reform of the Nigerian police. And besides the reform, there's also the part where they asked for the prosecution of police officers that were found culpable of several activities that they were accused of. Now, he did state that under the watchful eyes of the new head of police force, there have been active reforms. But concerning prosecution of police officers, the Commissioner of Police didn't respond to that question.
Austin, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us, or rather, Bernard Akere, live from Lekki Toll Gate there in Lagos. We switch gears now to South Nigeria, Delta State, where we now have Austin Azu. He's on standby to give us updates on the atmosphere and what's happening there on the 5th anniversary of the #EndSARS protest. Austin, a very good afternoon to you. What's going on in the capital? I understand that you are at Asaba. What's the latest with you?
All right, good afternoon, Judith. Behind me is the popular Intabwa, and this is the point where the protesters started converging. That was about 5 years ago, onward movements to other parts of the state capital. And behind me, you can see police vehicle stations, and of course, we have security personnel that have taken over this particular spot. And this is where most of the protesters had their meeting points, and thereafter the candlelight procession, and so on and so on and so on. Nevertheless, of course, we went around the state capital earlier on, and we equally see a replicant of what the police officers are doing here in those strategic places whereby the protesters, gather to begin their procession. However, you can see vehicular movements within these premises and onward movement. It means that there is no ongoing procession by anyone or by the protesters who wanted to come out to protest, who wanted to come out to commemorate this anniversary. We saw earlier on show of force by the Nigeria police, and thereafter we equally saw some security agencies moving around within the state capital and beyond. From what we confirmed so far in other cities like Warri, Sapele, Ugele, Agbo, and so on and so forth, where this protest actually happened simultaneously, of course, we gathered that none of them actually came out because security agencies have taken over those spots. But nevertheless, of course, we spoke to a cross-section of some respondents about this particular day, but obviously most of them seems not to understand, seems not to know that today is actually the 5th year since that that NSAS movement took place here in the state here. So suffice to say that during that movement, the state recorded some levels of arson. Some properties were destroyed, and not only that as well, a lot of persons went through economic hardship. Everywhere we were grounded, economic activities were paralyzed, but nevertheless, people seem to be going about their duties already. And perhaps most of them don't even remember that day anymore. That very day or those days whereby people have to go through a lot because of the NSAS movement. Right. But the state capital here and other parts of the state is so calm. Everyone seems to be going about their lawful duties, and police security agencies have taken over those strategic places that protesters actually designated for them to move. But so far so good, everywhere is calm. So back to you in the studio, Judith.
Many thanks, Austin Azu. Austin Azu, there's a correspondent live from Asaba, the capital of Delta State. Now, it's 5 years after the hashtag NSAS protest, and memories of that movement still echo across Nigeria. What started as a call to end police brutality became one of the country's largest youth-led demonstrations demanding justice and accountability from those in power. Now, the protest changed national conversations on human rights and law enforcement, but for many, the wounds remain fresh and the search for justice continues. Our correspondent Sumaya Abubakar has a report. Take a look.
The NSAS protest began in October 2020 as youth-led demonstration against the Special Anti-Robbery Squad accused of extortion and killings. It spread nationwide, including parts of the north, with citizens demanding an end to police brutality. The Lekki toll gate incident in Lagos became the defining symbol of that struggle. Judicial panels were set up across states to investigate abuses and recommend reforms. In Lagos, the panel confirmed civilian deaths at the Lekki toll gate, while reports from Kaduna and Kano showed about 11 deaths during smaller protests in the north.
It's unfortunate that up until this moment, there are still some people who are missing. The cases, there's so many cases, people are tracing, some people are still in jail somewhere that they cannot identify.
The panel of inquiry report that was presented to different governors and even the federal government, I am not sure any one of them have been acted on. Some of the protesters are still being held by government, especially in different parts of the country, including in Lagos.
Out of the 29 judicial panels set up nationwide, only a few states have implemented compensation, mostly in Lagos and Ekiti. A total of 295 petitions were submitted, with several notable cases bordering citizens and far-reaching recommendations finally submitted. However, many of the recommendations are yet to be implemented, with officers prosecuted despite confirmed cases of abuse.
There were a lot of violence and everywhere was scattered, the place was messed up. Everybody was crying, but it was on TV though that we were watching it because we couldn't go out, we were scared.
I just think they just changed their uniform because it's still the same persons that were in the SARS that are still in the reformed police. So I don't think anything has been done concerning the reasons the youths protested.
After the protest, although it was bloody, but at the end, there was no more SARS disturbing us
as the youth again.
When you look at how changes occur in other countries, it took the youth. They started it, and gradually they actually achieved their aim. So we are not in any way trying to say violence should be promoted, but in a more legal, civil, and reasonable way.
5 years on, over 90 documented deaths linked to police brutality remain unresolved. For many Nigerians, the hashtag #EndSARS anniversary is not just about remembrance, but a renewed call for justice and lasting reform. In Abuja, for News Central, Sumaya Abubakar.
Away from the hashtag #EndSARS memorial, now several protesters have taken to the streets of Abuja in protest against hunger and rising poverty in the country. The demonstrators converged on the Labour House in the FCT, raising alarm over the escalating cost of living, which they say is unbearable, and calling on government to intervene immediately. Correspondent Blessing Ahibe compiled this report. Take a look.
With pots in their hands and chants echoing through the streets, these Nigerians are drawing attention to what they describe as the unbearable hunger sweeping across communities. The protesters say that despite growing national budgets and the removal of fuel subsidy, the benefits are yet to reach ordinary Nigerians.
I actually came from a community where getting food now is very, very hard for our people. The hardship is affecting our people from different angles. Our people cannot go to farm due to cost of farming food. And also, we have seen where old people are dying. A lot of people are dying. Hardship is so much.
Our ports are empty. Empty ports, empty promises, empty campaigns. The campaigns that we have seen, they are not being fulfilled. We used to have 52.5 million Nigerians living in poverty as at 1999. Today, it has increased from that number to now 139, more than 2 times, close to 3 times the population that were living in poverty as at 1999. Why is our budget increasing and the level of poverty is increasing?
They say their demands cut across food security, need for free and fair elections, access to education, jobs, and improved governance, urging the government to come to their aid.
Our first demand is around elections, because we cannot have good governance if we don't have a process of electing leaders that have our interests at heart. So we want free and fair elections for children in schools and as a way to address hunger in the family. We have said that government should extend the school feeding program to cover all the public schools in all of the states of the Federation and the FCT.
We are also demanding that poverty of hunger is also partly as a result of the lack of employment. We are demanding that within the next 2 years, government puts in place strategic and concrete, policies that will engage and create at least 3 million jobs.
For many of them, the empty pots are not just symbols. They are a cry for help and accountability, hoping that the implementation of available policies will not only reduce hunger, but also expand opportunities for millions of Nigerians.
Away from Abuja now to Plateau State, as participants of a one-day workshop in the state have unanimously called on INEC to maintain professionalism in the country's electoral activities. Now, this was during a one-day workshop for political parties in Plateau State, organized by the Center for Peace, Sustainability and Social Tolerance, in collaboration with the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, in Plateau State. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe now joins us live for more update from the event. Chizoba, thanks so much for joining us. I have to ask you, what's the high points from today's meeting, summit?
Good afternoon, Judith, and thanks for having me here in Plateau State. Well, like I said in that report that you just had now, it's a gathering of political parties in the state. 19 of them actually are represented here. If you can see behind me, there are a representative from each of these political parties. Of course, it was organized by the Center for Peace, Social Sustainability and Tolerance. And that was in collaboration with the Inter-Party Agency in the state. And that's an umbrella body for all the political parties here in Plateau State. And the essence of this meeting or this gathering is to ensure that these political parties, brainstorm on what is important for them to make sure we have better electoral activities in the future, and of course, to bring back better governance, which will deliver dividends of democracy to citizens of Nigeria. And I have now to join me here the convener of this all-important exercise here on the plateau. Good afternoon, ma'am. You're welcome, please.
Thank you very much.
Tell us your name.
My name is Hotia Bencha Musa. I'm the program manager for CPSSC, that's Center for Peace, Sustainability and Social Service.
Thank you so much for joining us. What would you say is the key reasons for this program you have convened today?
The key reason for convening this program today, which harnesses all the 19 political parties on the plateau in collaboration with IPAC, that is the IPAC, that is the Inter-Party Advisory Council, which is their platform. We're here to discuss and bring them together and also connect a network between them, political parties, and the government in place. And also to create understanding political education and also inform them on the supremacy of party here by bringing up leaders. And some of the constitutional rights and also some kind of restrictions around bringing up political leaders, so that at least in the course of leadership, when elected into place, the party can call them back to order in case they deviate. And as such, it's also improving, in educating them about the onset of the ICT coming into the system. We want to digitalize every system and every form of paperwork. We want to turn them into ICT, so that in time, this kind of program will not hold there. We can open up just a hub where we can all discuss without having convenience because of some of the inconveniences that come forth, and yet sharing the information that is within the political framework of the government constitution.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.
All right. So that's it from her, the convener. In fact, earlier we had the Resident Electoral Commissioner of INEC in Plateau State, where he has left for other engagement. The IPAC chairman in the state is also in here, APC members, every other party representatives are here. And we hope that at the end of this meeting,
I seem to have lost Chizobani with our correspondent live from Plateau. Let's switch gears, but still on electoral matters. The former Nigerian Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo has been appointed by ECOWAS to lead its election observation mission for Cote d'Ivoire's upcoming presidential election set for October 25th, 2025. The mission, which will run from October 19th to October 29th, 2025, aims to ensure a peaceful and credible electoral process in line with the ECOWAS Supplementary Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance. As head of mission, Oshibanjo will work with a team of prominent West African leaders to engage key stakeholders and collaborate with international and domestic observer groups. The deployment underscores ECOWAS' commitment to promoting democracy and stability across the region as several West African nations gear up for important elections. Now, for business, as the federal government of Nigeria has extended the probe into unreconciled payments by revenue agencies, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to December 2024 over discrepancies in remittances. Documents from the October 2025 FAC meeting show unresolved payments or balances totaling about 1.02 trillion naira and about $137.84 million involving NNPCL, NUPRC, FIRS, as well as CBN. The NNPCL faces allegations of under-remitting $42.37 billion, and that's about 12.9 trillion naira to the Federation account between 2011 and 2017, and has submitted its response. Now, despite expectations of 271.18 billion naira monthly remittances, which is about 2.17 trillion naira year to date, NNPCL has made no payments in 2025. The World Bank says the firm remits only 50% of oil revenue gains. And off to Southern Africa, where Zimbabwe's ruling party, ZANU-PF, has directed the government to initiate the legal, constitutional, and administrative measures required to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's tenure by 2 years to 2030. The decision was announced at the party's 22nd annual conference held over the weekend. However, critics have denounced the move as unconstitutional, warning that it could undermine democracy. The resolution comes amid a growing succession battle within ZANU-PF, with the vice president, a key rival to Mnangagwa, reportedly accused of treasonable actions. And off to Mozambique, where the Central Office for Combating Organized and Transnational Crime says at least 462 people have been convicted for their involvement in attacks over the past 8 years in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province. The agency also revealed that 918 criminal cases have been opened against 724 individuals suspected of participating in the terror attacks. Of these, 76 have been indicted and 62 have already been tried, leading to 462 convictions with sentences ranging from 2 to 30 years in prison. And just outside the shores of Africa, U.S. President Donald Trump says the ceasefire in Gaza is still in place despite renewed violence. Israel on Sunday launched multiple airstrikes on Hamas targets after an attack in Rafah killed 2 Israeli soldiers. The military blamed Hamas for firing an anti-tank missile and gunfire, while Hamas denied involvement, saying it was unaware of any clashes. Both sides now accuse each other of breaching the fragile truce. The Israeli Defense Forces stated it would continue to enforce the ceasefire. Now, with tensions escalating and fears of a full breakdown rising, Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and senior advisor Jared Kushner are en route to Israel. Their mission underscores growing U.S. pressure to stabilize the region and preserve the ceasefire agreement.
Well, we're going to have to see what's happening. We want to make sure that it's going to be very peaceful with Hamas. And as you know, they've been quite rambunctious. They've been doing some shooting, and we think maybe the leadership isn't involved in that. You know, some rebels within. But either way, it's going to be handled properly. It's going to be handled toughly, but properly.
Is the ceasefire still in place?
Yeah, it is. Yes, yes.
In a continent where dissent is too often silenced and opposition voices vanish into the background, the pattern of Kenya's Raila Odinga holds a lesson for us all. Known affectionately as Baba, Odinga's journey spanned decades of political struggle. He ran for president 5 times. He campaigned under detention, under threat, yet he kept returning, refusing to watch democracy drip away quietly. His career delivered not just policy, but also possibilities. Yesterday, thousands gathered in Western Kenya as Baba was laid to rest at his ancestral home. The military gave full honors, and mourners broke through the barriers. Grief spilled onto the street when 5 people died amid the crowds. The cost of mobilizing hope became painfully clear. So why does this matter for countries like Nigeria, Cameroon, and Cote d'Ivoire, all places where opposition still stands in shadows and space where dissent shrinks? I'll tell you why. It's because here was a man who defied silence. He didn't just oppose in the margins. He built movements, he reshaped constitutions, and he kept fighting long after few believed. If our leaders shut down debate, defect, dismiss opposition, and banish accountability, then the future is uncertain and dreadfully hollow. Odinga showed that opposition is the road to democracy, because if opposition fades, the promise of power, and that is the promise that serves the people, becomes nothing. And that is your postscript. That said, the weekend delivered mixed emotions in football, highs and lows across clubs and international action, yet fans remain hopeful. And of course, Udoka Njoku is on standby to tell us more. Udoka, talk to me.
Of course, good afternoon, Judith. It was mixed reactions for Nigerian football fans because Remo Stars Football Club suffered a heavy defeat in the CAF Champions League, while the female Flamingos of Nigeria also suffered a heavy loss in the Under-17 World Cup. But there's hope for Nigeria because 10-time Women Africa Cup of Nations champions Super Falcons are in town, and we look forward to them playing against Benin Republic. And of course, we expect a win from our ladies. We'll give you more updates on in the game, which starts shortly.
If there's one thing I know for this entirety of this year, is that women has been carrying this country on their backs. That's all I got to say. Udoka, many thanks. And that's all for the 12 report for today. Now, do remember, if you see anything out there on the roads, make sure to send us your WhatsApp message to the WhatsApp number now showing up on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on every social media platform. You can always watch News Central live, by the way. We're on DSTV channel 422. Find us on GoTV channel 23. We're also on Star Times channel 274. We're also on Avo TV, and you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Good morning or good afternoon.